I already know what most people are going to say. They're going to be like, oh, man, this dude again. Listen, you know what? Fool me once. Shame on you. Fooled us once. We can't get fooled again. A lot has happened since we have last spoken. Sorry, it's been a minute. There was a video way back when that I made called The Death of Modern Entertainment Systems, where I kind of talked about the rise of streaming services and the death of modern entertainment systems. Streaming services have exploded. We're like in the frontier, or like the pioneering days of streaming services. It's fucking crazy, to be 100% honest. There's a lot of hot conversations right now, like, are movie theaters dying? Are streaming services the way of the future? Is every theater gonna go away? Are you just gonna have to watch movies from the convenience of your living room? All sorts of bullshit. I want to talk about the streaming services as a whole, the good, the bad, and what the future looks like. First things first, I want to start with the cons of streaming services. There's been a lot of bad things that I think are kind of on the rise right now. Not like they just miraculously popped up out of nowhere. In the past, before, they were kind of sprinkled along the road, but we never really got a full glance at them until now. Oversaturation. It's almost like gluttony. You see so many movies coming out now where you don't really know whether or not you're enjoying every single one of them fully to its extent. Do you remember 10 years ago where a movie came out and it was like this big open experience where, you know, a blockbuster would come out and suddenly it's like, holy shit, the entire fucking world stops and we go, oh my god, there's a new release, a Christopher Nolan movie is out? Holy fuck, we need to celebrate this. It's like fucking Mardi Gras. Now movies are so prominent that it just feels like a throwaway, where it's so easy to on movies nowadays because we see so many of them, and I feel like we're almost less appreciative of the art form itself because there's so many movies coming out now that you almost kind of roll your eyes when you see new movies now, because it's like, I've already seen it before. You feel like you've seen everything. You've consumed everything. Where's the new? You know, you're trying to find something different in the haystack of 1,000 things that you've already seen. It feels like it's too short of a time period to be consuming that many fucking movies. I feel like you need a break. Let's talk about the second thing. Movie theaters might be dying. Movie theaters have enacted new safety protocols to kind of help counteract that, but let's face it, a movie theater is literally sitting in a room chock full of 80 other people who are all just fucking If COVID goes away, maybe we'll see a return of them, but I'm not very hopeful, especially when you consider the new event that we've run into. HBO Max enacted something called same-day theater and streaming release, where essentially they release new releases like Dune, Matrix 4, Wonder Woman 1984, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, big, massive blockbusters. There's not really a way that movie theaters can survive that way, let's be honest. When you have the comfort of watching a movie in your own living room as opposed to going down the street, which some people don't even have that luxury. So let's say you have to drive an hour away, pay $15 to go sit in a room where you can watch a movie for 2 hours, and you'd have to pay it again to see it for a second time. Why would you ever do that when you're paying for a subscription that's maybe, you know, $14 or $15 a month, where you can watch the movie over and over again from the convenience of your couch? However, HBO Max might be it up a bit here. HBO Max has nowhere near the number of subscribers that Disney Plus or Netflix has. They're still trying to catch up. This was just a last-ditch effort to even try and keep their head in the game so that they don't fall out of the market. On top of that fact, they might have also ruined relationships with some of the biggest filmmakers like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. Christopher Nolan being the creator of the Dark Knight trilogy, which was produced by Warner Brothers, and Denis Villeneuve making Blade Runner 2049 and the upcoming Dune film, also from Warner Brothers. Both of them had very strongly opinionated responses to HBO Max's move to push their entire slate of 2021 films to the streaming service. I'll just go ahead and read some of that statement off now. With this decision, AT&T has hijacked one of the most respectable and important studios in film history. There is absolutely no love for cinema nor for the audience here. It is all the survival of a telecom mammoth that is currently bearing an astronomical debt of more than $150 billion. Oh, fuck. Yeah, leave it to one of your most prominent and respectable filmmakers in the industry that you had a good working relationship with to absolutely fucking roast your ass to the entire world. Yikes. That's not even getting into what Christopher Nolan said. Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most prominent movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service. Ooh, that probably should have been a detail that you should have told all parties before you actually fucking went out and did it. Don't really know what the situation is there, and I guess most people have been compensated, but not really, sort of, kind of, maybe, so their reputation has been hurt in the process. Was it a smart move? No. Is it something that people will follow up with in the future? Yeah, I think we're going to see more of this in the future. Third con that we're going to get to on this list is one where some people would see it as a plus. I more so see it as a negative. Now that everyone has a streaming service and they need as much content as possible, everyone is digging up every fucking dead franchise that they can and reviving its corpse to serve as like the attraction on their streaming service platform. Actually, funny enough, today I saw two posts, one about the iCarly reunion and one about the SpongeBob reunion. And that's only to name a few. Sex and the City is coming back. There's like 18 other properties that are being fucking adapted left, right, and center. I mean, I'm not really a person who's like, hey, let's take this dead franchise over here that's been gone for 20 years and just bring it up front and center into the stable and just milk it for all it's worth until the money dries out. Even though nothing's really new, everything's always influenced by something else. But, you know, a new story. Come up with something different, even if it's reminiscent of something else. It's good to have something that isn't the same thing that you tried to capture in a bottle 20 years ago. My prime example of this would be Dumb and Dumber 2. It was like 30 years after the fact. Sometimes you make a movie and it's just such a product of its time that you can't really create that magic again. It was just the right place at the right time for the right audience, and culture-wise, it hit it perfectly on the head. The Force Awakens. Let's move on to the pros. Filmmakers now have a chance for every single one of their movies getting greenlit because of the fact that streaming services need as much content as possible, which means that now it's kind of like the wild, wild west where you can basically just sell anything to a studio. You could make whatever and sell it to somebody and they're going to use it because, you know, if it has an audience, somebody's going to take it. I think my main example of this would be Malcolm and Marie, a John David Washington, Zendaya, and I think it's the Euphoria team where they just made this movie during the pandemic and then Netflix bought it. Now it's one of their biggest movies coming out this year. And that was an independent film where they just made it in a bubble and then sold it to Netflix. And I would imagine that, you know, they got compensated. Second positive on this list, movie theaters actually might thrive from this. I know before I just said that movie theaters might be dying. However, Chris Stuckman raised a point. If you don't know who Chris Stuckman is, he's a YouTube reviewer, but he had a pretty good point in his video where he was talking about the state of movie theaters and the current situation at the moment, where he said
studios can understand what this could do to theaters and remove a lot of those premiums that they charge on tickets for people who want to go to a theater while they're also making money on streaming. I think that could also benefit a theater as well.
The movie studio makes most of the money, and the theater itself makes very little revenue from the actual movies that they're showing themselves. Most of the money that they get is from concessions. His point was, if they're going to do the same day release, why not give a bigger portion of revenue from the actual movie theaters themselves to compensate for the lack of audience? Basically what that means is keep your deal with the movie theaters, but give them a larger percentage of ticket sales so that in a way it actually kind of counteracts the lack of people in the theater. That's kind of a smart fucking move. When you think about it, it's like it balances out almost like on a seesaw where it's like, yes, there's less people in the movie theater for the theaters to survive. However, if they make a larger cut of what the movie makes on its own, it's kind of a genius fucking move. I think that'd be a good way to keep it around because, you know, we need a communal experience, especially in this very antisocial time. If you've ever been to a movie theater, I hope you have, you know that there are some experiences that just need to be seen on screen. Avengers Endgame. If I could give an arm and a leg to relive that moment, I totally would. It's very interesting to see the progression of movie theaters and streaming services and how they kind of do this dance where it's like, is it going to be this one or is it going to be that one? And I think, like I talked about in the last video, it's a constantly progressing situation. And I think I'll keep coming around to it and talking about it because we're in the middle of the streaming wars, and it's almost like a frontier, a new age where we're kind of in this odd time and we don't really know what's going on. But along the way, we're kind of seeing these new traditions get, brought into our culture where it's like a couple years ago, you never would have thought that you'd be seeing big blockbusters in your living room on the same day as a theater release, but now that's where we're at because that's the way that the world is. But the more I get interested in film, it's a very interesting world to see as it develops and it changes. And this is nothing different than how film has changed in eras before. You never used to have a television at home, and when the television came home, everyone thought our movie theater is going to die. I think the old format of movie theaters might have to change, and they might have to adjust and adapt for a new audience so that it can actually work to new standards. How that's going to happen, no idea, but I look forward to the journey and the process along the way and seeing what comes out of it. Talk about it in the comments below. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think we're going to be having a movie theater funeral for AMC, if Robin Hood tanks the market? I don't know. Until next time, I promise it'll be sooner than you think. I hope you're staying happy, staying healthy, staying safe. Thanks for the support along the way, and I'll see you in the next one.